How do you raise money for environmental education? I'm going to give you a resource on how to do that so you can bring in much needed funding to teach children and adults about our environment. Hi, I'm Jodi Karam, founder of Opera for Earth Corporation. I want to thank you for taking a moment to learn who we are. Opera for Earth believes that education can change lives. So we use musical performance to raise funds to educate kids about our precious environment. Wind energy, solar energy, biofuels, effects of plastic, even the effects of non-renewable pollutants and their relationship to disease. These are the things that kids learn about. We need to be honest with them so they have the information to make good decisions. You can't underestimate kids. When they've been given information, they do make better decisions. These are our next generation of scientists and geologists and, heck, even opera singers. Let's give them everything we can while their minds are open to it. Will you please invite us to your city or town? I promise you, we will perform an amazing concert to raise money to educate your kids on the environment. We can plan a concert together. Bring your city together, all for your next generation. What do you think? If you'd like to help us, or if you just want information, or even if you just want to partner with us, please email or call. We're always happy to chat. Let's talk about your event. Hey, and if you want, you can click the link below and connect with our Facebook page. I want to know who you are. So please follow us and even like this video. And if you feel inspired, share this information with your friends. Let's use beautiful music for the good and for the future of our planet Earth. Thank you so much.
And we're live, broadcasting from South Orange, New Jersey tonight. Welcome to Music Matters 2020 with Jason Tramm. Thank you so much for joining our new and unique podcast community. We are currently one of the fastest growing classical music podcasts on YouTube, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Remember to hit that subscribe button and smash that bell for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Be sure to like our videos and share them, and join the conversation in the chat feature. We love to have you and to ask questions and to join our conversation, because we exist to talk about classical music and music during this time of COVID and the unique challenges we all face as an artistic community. So thank you so much for spending time with us, and we have a wonderful guest tonight, Miss Jodi Karam, a soprano and founder for Opera for Earth. So welcome, Jodi.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So thank you so much for joining us. So tell us, where are you tonight?
Tonight, I am in my humble home in Brooklyn, New York. Welcome to my kitchen. Anyone who comes into my home ends up in the kitchen anyway. So I thought that I would just have you guys here.
Well, it's a great place to be. And tell us about your development as an artist, and how did you get into singing? And tell us all about your backstory.
Wow, well, that's quite a long story, but we have time, right?
Do.
So I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, and the right way to say that is Louisville, but I'll say for the rest of you, Louisville. I come from a big family. I grew up with 6 boys. I'm the youngest and only girl, and my family isn't really into music. My oldest 2 brothers actually played in a rock band, and so I would hear Jimi Hendrix and so forth growing up, and really the only classical music that I heard was on Bugs Bunny. So everyone else, they have medical degrees, and my dad's a dentist, and my mom was a nurse, and so I wasn't around much classical music except for Saturday mornings. So I decided that, I needed a break from Kentucky. So I kind of on a whim moved to California, and I went to Cal State Fullerton for my undergrad. And of course, I was going there to get a music degree and to be in a rock band. But But that didn't quite work out when my voice teacher decided to put me in an opera. And I was actually in my very first opera with Megan Weston, who you've had on here before with
Absolutely,
Michael Fenley.
absolutely.
And that was Beauty and the Beast. It was an opera, and I was one of the evil stepsisters, which I absolutely loved being an evil stepsister. And so that's kind of how my journey started in opera. At that time, and since then, I was voiced as a mezzo soprano. I had wow, I sang for years and years and years as a mezzo, all over the place. And as you get older, like you start out with lighter rep, of course, Rossini and Mozart and things, and I graduated on to heavier repertoire. I was excited when I could do my first Carmen, and I learned how to play castanets because growing up, being of Lebanese descent, I belly dance already.
Oh, you got a
And
big
so
head start on Carmen. That's great.
I did. And so I picked up the castanets very easily. And, from then I just moved into heavier and heavier repertoire. And it's funny, Jason, because I sang as a mezzo my very first Wagner role, which was Venus, which was not the Paris version of Venus in Tannhäuser, but the Dresden version. Are you familiar with that
I've
version?
conducted the overture for the Dresden version. It's on my YouTube channel. Yeah, it's a great one. Wow.
Great, yeah. So I did that with Apotheosis Opera in New York City. And after the Prince, Mitch Serker came up to me and he said, "You're not a mezzo. You're a dramatic soprano." And I was like, "No!"
Great big shout out to Mitch Serker, a good friend of mine and a great person. And welcome, Mitch.
He's so talented and he has such an amazing ear.
Especially for that
But the
German
last
rep, for
thing
that romantic German rep.
oh, oh yeah, yeah, he's amazing. I wanted to be was a soprano. So I did go kicking and screaming. But Andrea Del Giudice, which I know you know her and respect her, she's a wonderful teacher, actually transitioned me from mezzo to soprano. And it's been quite a
So
journey.
tell me about the
So
transition.
I've
What's it like now? You a singer, being a singer, of course, you have your like identity wrapped in these roles, and you spend years with these characters, developing your the way you present the characters. What's it like changing Falk like that?
That's a great question because it's not only changing, the image that you built and everything. As a mezzo, the roles, I had to be very flexible in the kind of roles that I did, from playing boys to witches to sexy to whatever. You you have to change all that, but plus you have to change your approach to how you even sing. You don't notes and low notes as a mezzo the way you do as a soprano. So it's rethinking. It's completely rethinking your voice. It's very difficult.
Sorry, keep going.
So anyway, I just kept studying. I actually did change teachers from Andrea. She did so much for me, but in South Brooklyn, and she's at the top of Manhattan. So it was a really far trip for me to go to her every week. So I ended up, to get regular lessons, I switched teachers. And the teacher I've been working with now is basically remotely. And he's really helping me in a different approach, even still, as I study roles like Leonora from Trovatore and Tosca and things like that. But I have to say that I've never done anything so hard in my life
I've
than
heard
to
similar things for
change.
baritones making the tenor transition. How difficult that is to change and to memorize new repertoire, entirely new body of repertoire.
It's going from it's starting out at zero. That you have to do. So I I suggest that if you have been a mezzo, stay a mezzo if possible.
Arnetta Clark says Jodi is very dramatic, so she'll be awesome. So you've got a fan out there.
Arnetta is great. We're going to do a concert together actually in Mississippi this March.
Very nice.
She's a very talented, gorgeous soprano voice. She can jump from opera to gospel to whatever she wants to sing. Beautiful voice. Thank you, Arnetta.
I love these conversations where our friends come on here and we're all as a community just chatting. I love this podcast format because it really lets us open up and just talk about whatever comes up. So I always enjoy that.
Oh yeah, me too.
So what are some of the roles that you have your eye on now? What are some of the dream roles that we're working towards?
Well, of course, I've learned and performed a few roles. We mentioned Venus. I'm actually also learning Elizabeth.
And what are the challenges in like Elizabeth or Venus? What were some of the hardest things to do?
So I can do.
So we lost you there. Can you say that again?
With Venus, say as a mezzo, you have this long scene at the beginning, and I literally would take my costume, I'd go in the back, take my costume off, you have a big long break. I was starving by the time the last act came around. After eating and putting my costume back on. But that role as a mezzo, I felt like the range of it, first of all, is a huge challenge. And I think that would be for any voice type. I think Elizabeth feels to me like it's has a more lyric feeling. Of course, her character is polar opposite of Venus. And I really would love the opportunity to do both roles because you're one end of the spectrum and the other with the sexy, sensuous Venus to the innocent, virginal Elizabeth. So I haven't gotten to perform both yet, but I'm getting ready for that.
So that the challenges as an actress, certainly they really present themselves. That's what's fun about being a performing artist, is delving into new things and giving yourself challenges. So this is probably the hardest challenge you faced, is checking out this new repertoire and diving in.
Oh yeah, it's just doing it fearlessly. I guess I think of myself as kind of a fearless person, and I encourage everyone.
We're having some audio challenges, Jodi. Can you say that again? Your audio cut out. Can you say that again?
Absolutely. I'm encouraging anyone in music to absolutely do your craft with a fearless mindset, because being fearless in your dreams and in your goals is the only way that you're going to succeed in music, especially music, because any challenges of getting yourself gigs, asking for things, and also having the abilities musically to perfect your craft.
It's great advice to anyone who's listening, especially younger people, that timidness and music don't really go together. That if you want to have a career in music, you have to always be out there, always be fearless in your goals and fearless in your as you progress.
Absolutely. And the time of COVID is actually, for me, it kind of goes along with my transition from mezzo to is kind of a rebirth, and it seems like COVID has been a rebirth. So in giving life to Opera for Earth, for example, you have to throw out your a lot of times misconceptions about what people might think, and just go for what you believe in.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about Opera for Earth. Tell us what that is and how you came to start this organization, and what take us through the whole what is Opera for Earth? Start at the beginning.
Okay, so um, my friends know, and I think you know, Jason. I got very sick in 2019, and I was unable to work for a while. I was diagnosed with several autoimmune diseases that were very debilitating, and I got myself back on track with diet, with removing toxins, and people who know me know, like, I ran a Tough Mudder. I work out with weights. As you know, Jason, I love volleyball
That was quite a game.
because
What was that, 2 years ago? That was quite a game.
don't try to beat me.
That was at the house of Michael Fennelly and Megan Weston. We'll get back there someday.
Oh yeah, and the girls will kick your butts again. Okay, here we go.
Bring it.
Yeah, I talk it, don't I? I know. But so anyway, in this whole, revamping my whole entire life down to the water I drink and the water I shower in, I learned a lot about the toxins in our environment, in our food, in the products we use on our skin, and the water we drink. Everything has so many toxins and pesticides. And it really made me be inspired to do a concert. And I actually called on several singers and got a lot of volunteers for Earth Day. We actually also had gotten the UN orchestra. They were going to play for us. And COVID came and all that slipped away.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, a friend of mine had encouraged me to go ahead and make a nonprofit out of Opera for Earth. And I thought to myself, God, boards and things like that just kind of bore me. But I went ahead and I did it. And we have a great board. There's three of us, and it's all opera singers. And we talk about things. We have several concerts scheduled. And I realized that how inspiring nature is to music, to everything we do in music, down to a love duet. And I decided to do something that's bigger than myself and outside of myself. And so I did. We got our nonprofit status with the IRS, our 501c3 status in June. I was kind of surprised on the IRS. They didn't take that long. It's kind of shocked.
For those who may not know,
now
how long did it take you to fill out the paperwork, though? That took longer, right?
No. So I have a paralegal background. So if you hire an attorney, the paralegal is going to do it anyway. So I filed with the state. The state actually took a little longer than the IRS. And then after getting that, April 21st, I waited maybe a few weeks, and then I filled out the paperwork for the IRS. So it's just a lot of reading and just making sure you have the correct information, really. So anyone can do it.
It takes a lot of time, though. I mean, I founded two organizations. I founded my first orchestra and chorus when I was a young man. That was my first orchestra. I concerted for 10 years. And then I did an opera company later on, but I had a lot of help with other board members putting that together. But it's running an organization takes a lot of different skill sets, doesn't it?
You are so right. It's funny because I was like, maybe I should take a grant writing course. And I don't know, I must have a knack for it because I kind of Googled, okay, what do I put in a grant proposal? I'd never done one before. And I kind of just got advice from people, and I've been writing grants and getting great response. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
It takes a lot of persistence, and your paralegal background, that's fantastic. Having that is really a help, I'm sure.
It is really a help. It very much so. Yeah, prepping trials for attorneys taught me to be very, very organized with paperwork. So that was definitely a help for me.
And what are you looking to do?
So,
What type of performances? What are you raising money for? Tell me about what this mission is going to be for these concerts.
so we we do several things. We do an education component in that we do raise money for environmental education. So, for example, if depending on COVID and all of the riots and things like that, we are going to have a Metal for Earth concert that's coming up at the end of January in Louisville. And I have to tell you, the response as far as volunteering space, volunteering, prizes and things like that has been great. People are so generous. I approached a gourmet hot dog place, and it's in a very quirky part of Louisville. It's on Logan Street. It's called Red Top Dogs. And the guy didn't hesitate to volunteer to give us his space for free. And, of course it's going to bring him business, but he said, I like the idea of music and the earth. Yeah, you can do it here. And I asked him how much, and he said nothing. He goes, I want to do my part.
When you have a good mission, people want to be a part of it.
Right. And so for that particular concert, we're raising money for an organization called Second Chances Wildlife Education. And so like 100% of the admission will go toward that organization. A lady, she goes into schools and also has education. She uses wild animals that they have there to teach kids about how to care for the earth. Other, education components we have will go in and train, like in schools, for example, we'll train them for 5 days on repertoire and give them lines to say about the environment and sustainability and so forth. And we teach them singing, and so they get to speak lines, they get to sing repertoire, and then we have a joint concert with kids at the end of the week. So they get to sing with professional opera singers.
And how do you find your colleagues? How do you get your colleagues to join in these concerts?
Well, I pay them.
That's usually a good motivator.
But honestly, there are so many people that are super generous with their time. I wanted to show our demo. We're in the process of making our demo, and it's not finished yet. So it's us, several singers singing on it in ensemble solos and so forth. And people are just willing to give their time for something that they believe in. I mean, I think everyone likes living on the earth, right? And the earth does a lot for us, so we need to give back, because if you don't take care of it, we're all screwed.
I'm with you there. That's and education and getting to young people. There's no music is such a great way to get to people too. It's I tell my students all the time at the university that the music's like an amber, and it captures everything in society. So when we study opera, a piece that's older, everything in society goes into that. And today, this is such an important current, the environment and environmental consciousness, that we all have to step forward and kind of find ways to engage. And this is a great thing you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it starts with education. It starts when you're a kid, because if you're brought up to believe, wow, I really need to stop using single-use water bottles because they're going to end up in the ocean, then you're really less likely to use them when you're more likely to take water with you. I mean, don't you wonder, Jake, how did we drink water when we were little? How did we drink?
There were no water bottles. Yeah, the sink,
I mean, there are water fountains everywhere, and they're gone. I don't understand that. So
I don't know if you've been keeping track of during the COVID time. I guess it's been no one's using water bottles. No one's using water fountains right now. but
Oh, no.
because of the COVID thing. But at the university where I teach, they're still using the bottle filler part of the water fountain. So I guess that's still
Right.
possible to be. People carry. My son carries a hydro flask, which is this fancy name for a water bottle that you can keep, and it's not recyclable. It's a permanent thing, but it's certainly interesting.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that. I was actually talking about that with my mother. And when I was a kid, my dad, we had a boat and we would go out on the boat and ski and fish. And my mom would always say, I wish I could buy water. And so now she just kind of spoke it into existence because, you can buy water, but you can't get it for free now. So, uh, she said, we used to buy soda, Cokes and stuff. She said, I just want to buy water. But
The interesting thing about that is when you see where the water comes from, often it comes from the same place. It's the same aquifers that the municipal water comes from. So it's really not that different.
no, no, it's not. Well, my water I have at home is actually reverse osmosis. So, I live in a building in Brooklyn, a poor building, and I'm not drinking anything that comes out of this faucet. So, yeah, there's lead in my pipes. So we do filter our water with the reverse osmosis. So,
Probably a good thing. And I know my son does the same thing. We have one of those Brita filters, and he filters everything. So I'm old school. I'll just drink the tap water. But maybe I should be more careful.
I think you should. I think you definitely should be more careful. So yeah, so when I was waiting for my husband to come home from all of his, for those of you who don't know, my husband is a paramedic, and he 911, and he worked COVID, and I was not working, and he would be gone constantly, and I kind of got inspired to start Opera for Earth. So um, when you have money, you don't have time, and when you have time, you don't have the money. Well, I had both, time and money.
It's a
I
good
think
thing.
for the first time. Yeah, for the first time ever. So basically, I would sit at home and I, write grant requests and contact organizations, and then he would come home after a couple shifts at night, and I would make him shower and get in the infrared sauna and then shower again. And I said, okay, now you can give me a hug, but not until then.
Wow. So what was it like during the middle of the pandemic, when things were the beginning of the pandemic, when everything was such a challenge in New York?
Yeah, it was pretty scary actually because, my husband was out there getting coughed on. He came in contact with many, many patients with COVID. Um, they, they were, like I said, coughing on him. He was doing cardiac arrests, which is, I guess, I've never done one, but according to him, there's a lot of spit involved in bringing someone back to life or trying to. Um, and it was just constantly busy. He was exhausted. They literally didn't have time to eat. When they pushed the available button, they'd get another call immediately. And then coming home, we had our protocol. He would, outside our door, he had to take everything off and put it in a bag, put his shoes in a bag, and come in. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I said, shower, infrared, shower again. And then he could sit down or give me a kiss or give me a hug or something, but I didn't want him touching me.
That's a
I didn't want his
He's a
cootie.
real hero. That's those people. Those A lot of those
Yeah.
people. There weren't there like fatalities. A lot of people got sick from the medical community.
Yeah, he had several, like he works every Saturday. So he works with like two different guys every Saturday, and both of them got COVID, but he did not. And they were all wearing the N95s. They were all wearing a surgical mask over the N95 because the hospital didn't have enough equipment. They had to reuse them and bleach them out and horrible things like that. But He, I think the only thing he did differently that his partners didn't do was the infrared. We can't figure it out, but that's the only thing we can think of that was different.
Well, shout out to
So,
Vito for being a hero and be one of those people on the front line of this. And we seem to have got things more or less under control in New York, New Jersey. It seems to have settled down, at least for the interim. So we're all thrilled about that.
oh yeah, he hasn't had any COVID patients in about 4 months. So,
That's
and
amazing.
honestly, I probably shouldn't say this, but they don't even wear masks anymore in the going to do a job, unless, of course, well, he hadn't had any COVID. But if they were to say this is a COVID patient, which they get a notification what it's for, then of course they would mask up. But yeah, he definitely when he would show me pictures when they would go on jobs, he'd look like he had an astronaut suit on or something. It was crazy.
We have one of our colleagues, Natasha Novitskaya, says we're glad that that he didn't get sick. We're all very glad that happy to
Oh,
hear that.
Natasha's wonderful. Thank you, Natasha. She's a beautiful mezzo. I can't wait to do a concert with her. We'll find out in October when that's going to be.
She was on the
So,
show previously, and we did, my last concert I did live was with we did a concert joint. It was a blast, and she sang some great dramatic repertoire, and it's great that we have so many mutual colleagues.
what a voice. I love her voice. I love her talent. She's so passionate. Great, great singer.
So
Yeah.
what? So during this COVID, you've been working on Opera for Earth. What are some of your other COVID? Have you done any virtual concerts or any other performing during this time?
Yes, I did a concert with New York Dramatic Voices. They had a whole series. It was fun. It's difficult to, and you know what? I say shout out, give a shout out to anyone who does a virtual concert because it's difficult. First of all, in the technology of it, because opera singers don't really need technology. We have our voices and a pianist right next to us, or orchestra, whatever the case is, and you sing, and that's it. So you have challenges, technical challenges that you have to overcome, first of all. And secondly, you're basically doing these performances in your apartment. And I don't, Jason, you don't live in an apartment in Brooklyn, but my apartment is 600 square feet, one bedroom apartment.
So there's some challenges involved with this. Okay.
It's a challenge because you have neighbors and like I would text my neighbor, I'm sorry, I have one more take. And she's like, it's okay. And I said, it's for charity. So you feel bad for your neighbors, but I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Isn't that funny? We
And
don't even think about these things. No one would think about that because we're so used to going to a venue and performing at a theater or a church or whatever, and then that's not even a consideration. These are serious considerations when you're performing at home and you're working from home and you're an opera singer, a dramatic soprano. You're going to make a lot of noise.
a lot of noise. Okay. And as my technique gets better as a soprano, my husband's like, you're hurting my
And that's
ears
a
more
good
and
thing.
more.
You want to hurt his ears in a
I
small room.
know. Definitely. I definitely want to hurt his ears. But I also did another event, a Russian event for Diction Buddy. Do you know about Diction
I
Buddy? Of
saw something
course, I'm
about
sure
that.
you do.
I saw something about that online. Who founded that?
Well, that's Kofi Hayford.
Ah,
You know
I
Kofi.
do.
That yeah, our techno wizard Kofi and Victoria Vita Koroneva, and they actually have worked an immense amount of work to help. I think it's great, especially for colleges, to be able to have addiction coach in on your phone. So I did something for them in Russian, and they, that was a little bit better situation. I should say easier situation because I had William Hicks right there playing for me. That was not a really, we're sort of socially distanced, but we're in the same room. So it was much easier than the concert I did with New York Dramatic Voices.
Other challenges besides actually, the neighbors and singing in an apartment. How about the connection with your accompanist? How does that change things?
Well, I have been really only taking voice lessons. I have not been coaching. I don't see how people can coach, um, you know, online. I don't know how people do it. And if they do, God bless you. I couldn't do it. I do have a coaching tomorrow, which is in person for the first time since I don't even remember the last time I coached.
That's good to hear.
But
Things coming back to a little bit coming back to normal. That's good to hear.
yes, absolutely. And for the event for the New York Dramatic Voices event, they had to record everything ahead of time, and it was difficult, because I didn't know that accompanist, and they don't know my tempi and my markings and things. So, that's a huge challenge for a singer it's like singing with somebody for the first time in public.
I agree. I've
You know,
just finished 25 virtual choir recordings, and the whole thing's for your singers. It must be if the piano part's recorded first, you have to adapt your interpretation to that piano part. Where in reality, the piano and the singer are units. Where you're one in a live performance, and just like with me with an orchestra, I feel what the singer is doing and I adapt with them. So we it's this collaborative art form, but it takes that part of it out of it.
You're right. You're right. It's so different, and it's so, I believe, so much more difficult. So anyone who is doing a virtual concert, I applaud you like with a standing ovation, because it's a real challenge that we're not used to. And honestly, I think, we're a little spoiled, when you can just contact a million fabulous pianists in New York City and, say, "Hey, I need a coaching." And then you get one, and you get a great one, no matter who you call.
Yeah, we are
So,
we're so used to there's so many great colleagues in the city. There's just but it's been a challenge. A lot of my friends in New York have left New York. A lot of my friends have gone to different places, at least in the interim, and it's going to be very different when things start to return.
I really, really, I like New York. I moved here in 2011. However, and I don't want to sound negative because I know things will come back. I feel like I live in just a big, dirty city with no arts right now. I crave, art, coming back again. I crave music coming back, and I crave that time with other musicians.
I think we all do. I think the first thing that happened, this is my 49th show for Music Matters, and I founded this because I was supposed to be guest conducting in Europe and all the travel, and that got canceled. And I said, now what? I miss everybody. I miss my colleagues. So I came up with this idea to see what people are doing and how they're handling this, because I know I was handling it badly at first. And now it's just fascinating to see the first stage that we all went through, almost everyone, was this depression. We all miss each other. We all miss making art and miss our audiences.
Yeah.
So did you
Yeah,
feel that
that's
as well? Did you feel that depression when this all hit?
so I'm no, I actually did not feel depression so much. I really tried to look at it in a different way. I really looked at it as a rebirth, because every day we have an opportunity to do something that's us and to someone else. And so I decided, now I have the time to kind of better myself. So I actually, I'm not sure if you know the singer Magda Louisa Gartner. Do you know her? She's a
Not directly.
mezzo soprano. She she has a whole like I'm just okay, let me just put it there this way, Jason. I'm a little bit woo woo. I'm not totally woo woo. So I like do some yoga and I'll clear my chakras, but in reality I hate yoga, but I like how it makes me feel. Okay? So I would much rather go to the gym and lift some weights. So but I really wanted to work on different areas of myself and my life. So I took a chakra workshop. It was like I don't know, a 5 week or something like that workshop from Magda. I highly recommend her workshops. I took a build your business workshop from her after that. And, I'm like a go for it, do type person. But in reality, I realized that I need to relax and let things go naturally. And so, learning that perspective from her and learning how to breathe and clear my chakras and do my daily yoga, it was nice
Are you still
because
doing? Have you done that all throughout the COVID time?
I have,
Good.
I have. And my poor little on my yoga mat, and I say, "Oh, we're doing yoga together," and then I end up kicking her off the mat because she takes up too much room. So,
Those cats take over. I've got one too. I've been working on my tenure dossier, which is about the hardest thing I've done in my life. It's 1,500 pages, and my cat will jump on the table and they'll sit on my laptop, and I have to stop everything, get the cat.
does she walk right across your laptop?
He
Like
is
while
a
you're typing?
diva. He is a diva. He will take over and he says, "You will watch me now."
I think it's great. I've actually started because my table now is my desk. I've started letting my cat sit on top of the table, which horrifies me that I would do that, but I have to give her some attention, so she feels closer to me when she's sitting on the table and I give her treats here and there. So, I don't know. You got to make room, I guess, right?
I've had the cat on the podcast a few times. He'll jump up there and like just peek his head in there.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
last year,
I love
my
cats.
cat actually ended one of my university lectures. I was doing a lecture on the Renaissance period, and my cat jumped up and turned off the thing, and 35 kids were like, "We get to go do something else now."
Oh no, he did that on purpose.
He
You know
did.
that.
One of my students did not want. They didn't do their homework, and they were ready to talk about the Renaissance.
That's great. Oh, I love cats. So, yeah, so I've just been doing, things to better myself. I've been taking lessons every couple weeks. I'm, still training outside, running and biking. And I highly recommend, actually, for anybody who likes to bike, I highly recommend you take the ferry to Rockaway and go on their boardwalk. It's amazing. I've done that for the past 2 Sundays, and I'm going to do it again this Sunday.
I haven't spent much time in Brooklyn, but my cousin used to live there, and I used to go there once in a while and check it out. It's a very interesting place.
It is. There's like, you don't even think you're in New York City. It's completely different, and they're building all these fancy high rises, and you're right on the water, and it's beautiful.
Now, do you get to know? Now, before the show, we were talking a bit. You said that you have some concerts upcoming. Now, where are they,
I
and
do.
what will they be?
So I have concerts in several states. They're all outside of New York. Um, I'm going to be doing a concert in Mississippi, doing one in Louisville, one in now it's actually Appalachia, part of Kentucky. We're going to actually be working with some kids. They're doing a training program for them and then doing a joint concert with those kids. And these are kids, if you know anything about Appalachia, some of these kids don't even have running water. So for them to be able to learn about opera is a very, very rare opportunity. So,
I did a Madama Butterfly last year in West Virginia. It was my first time in West Virginia, and it was mostly students in the orchestra. It was a mix of people, but it was really interesting to me to meet some of the kids afterwards. And I think we were the only opera for a very long time in that neck of the woods.
oh, I bet. I bet. And they probably loved it and they probably responded, to it very positively. If
Yeah, it was a great audience, and they talked afterwards. We got to speak to them, and it's nice to get to speak to the audience and to make an impact on people. It always makes you feel good.
They ask the funniest questions. They'll say, "Oh, are you married?" Like if you do a love duet with someone, they always ask you if you're married. I say, "Yeah, but not to him."
Shocking.
Yeah, exactly. But and we have a concert coming up in Florida, and then we'll be back in Louisville. We also have a metal for concert. Now, don't think that
Ooh.
Opera for Earth is only opera. We embrace all music. So music d doesn't matter, what kind of music. Music touches different people in different ways. So we welcome all forms of music for our programming. So we will be doing a Metal for Earth concert, and that's going to be in late January. Uh, let's knock on wood for that, for the COVID. And we're going to have four metal bands play like 45-minute sets each. And in between, we'll do a raffle and raise some money and so forth. So yeah, I like to mix it up.
It's good. It's the music. I have two sons, and they're both into music, both into rock and roll and jazz, and I just love them all. There's not music is music, and I just love to be surrounded by different types of music too.
That's absolutely right. I'm a firm believer in that. As you know, I wanted to be a rock singer initially. Look where I ended up.
We have a question from the audience. We have our first question. This is from Jeanette from Alabama. That's interesting. Our first person from Alabama was
Hi,
identified.
Jeanette.
And she asks, what about rock and roll informs your classical singing?
Wow. Okay. That I grew up being a huge fan of like bands, chick bands like Heart, Pat Benatar,
Those girls
and
rocked.
they they're amazing. Okay, I can't even say they were amazing. They are amazing. I think that I really, really loved the fearless attack that they, sent out their message with this just fearlessness. I don't even know how to say it. They're so bold and strong, and that attracted me to rock. That attracted me to those particular bands, chick bands, specifically. And I think that that same type of approach in the kind of characters that I play in opera influences me in singing those characters. The fearlessness and the boldness of those characters are exactly the same as the people that I like in rock.
I don't tell this to people often, but when I'm backstage before a big concert, I usually have some rock and roll on my headphones. I'm a big, huge rock guy, and I play the drums that's what I do as a hobby. So I'm always kind of that energy is what drives an audience. That's what moves as a conductor, your job is to put energy in the music, and to keep that energy always flowing is what makes rock and roll exciting. I find that energizes my audiences too.
Absolutely. And you can't fake it. That's the thing. You just can't fake that energy, that excitement, that passion. People can see it. And I had a friend of mine, we actually did a little soiree, I guess, at a lady's house in the city. And I was actually with Megan and Mike, Megan Weston and Mike Fenley. And my friend was there, and he's not a musician. And he said, when you sing, whenever he's talking about all the singers, when you sing, I can see your soul in your eyes, and it's so beautiful.
It's a great comment.
And I thought, my God,
that's a good friend to have.
You're not even a singer. Yeah, and he could see the passion, and he could see the true feeling when someone was singing, and I thought, wow, I really appreciate that. It was really
neat.
What
we live for as artists, right? People understand that we don't just get up there and do a job, but we pour our souls into this. That's it's really it's not just a job. It's a way of being, a way of living.
Absolutely.
Absolutely is.
And I've
So,
my last concert was in I guess it was in February or March, and then it's been real so hard to be away from the audience and to be away from my communities. Um, what do you think is going to be the next step for people to get back into this? Now you're doing concerts.
you know what?
You're ready to do concerts, and you're not the first. I just saw online that the Jacksonville Symphony, my friend Jim Neglia is going to be on the show. I think in 2 or 3 weeks. Jim Neglia is the timpanist out there, and they just did their first They did their first socially distanced rehearsal and performance in Jacksonville. So I guess it's opening up.
That's great. I mean, that is such good news because I think the next step is for people to stop being afraid. And, when your health is involved and when you don't understand, like we don't totally understand about this virus, and we're not getting clear answers, I think people are more afraid. I got on the train. So I teach. I actually go into autistic kids' homes, and I have a nonverbal girl, and I go and give her voice lessons. Now, on my way there, I live off the R train, so I have to take the F, and she lives off the F. So let me just explain this. Excuse me. When you get off the R train to transfer to the F, you walk up these like 5 flights of very long flights of steps. And by the time I get up to the F train, which is above ground at this point, I am dying. Okay. I'm like, it's so tiring. Okay. And when I get to the top of that platform, I ain't wearing a mask. Okay. And if the train comes right away, I'm not going to put a mask on to be in the train. I got to catch my breath because I'm dying. And I saw a woman. This very thing happened to me. I got to the top of the steps. I was running to catch the train. I ran into the train, and I saw a woman with a face mask on and a shield over her. So she's like dressed like I don't know. Very protective.
A spacesuit.
And yes, pretty much. And it's 90 degrees outside, and I was dying. I was out of breath, and I just sat down to catch my breath. And she gives me the stink eye, and she moves away from me. And I thought, gosh, she lives in a lot of fear, and I feel bad for her because, I try to stay healthy, work on my immune system, and I don't touch my face. I wash my hands. I do.
You're married to a healthcare professional, so you obviously know the protocols, and
yeah.
I'm sure you've been briefed in that.
Right, exactly. And so I felt really bad for her because she's so fearful that she doesn't even want to be more than 6 feet apart. And I thought, wow, I'm so glad I'm not fearful like that. And that's what I think people have to do. Just don't be fearful. Use your common sense. Don't I'm kissing and hugging everybody you see, but just use your common sense and have courage to get out there. And I think once people get the courage, it's going to happen.
Yeah, true. It's people really are afraid. There's so much different advice going around. I taught my first class live about 3 weeks ago. I actually was in the classroom again, and it was been since March since I've been teaching. And I was behind a plexiglass shield, and 1/3 of my class is in the room at any given time, and the other 2/3 are on the screens. And it's but just to see humans in front of me, I was really teared up. It was just so emotional to actually have people in front of me. I'm so used to Zoom screens and podcasts, which is great, and I'm so thankful for the technology. But there's nothing like what we do, the actual physical being in a room with someone. It just really, it changes things. So I can't wait to actually have a rehearsal again, and to be physically present with my musicians.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? When you're around people, you need the good bacteria too. So all that being around other people stimulates your immune system. So it's not all negative.
Yeah, it's
So,
fascinating about we're going to have to eventually assume risk. This is not going to disappear ever. It's probably never going to disappear 100%. Just like the flu comes back and forth, and we just have to learn how to be. There's going to be some level of risk as we go back about our lives, just like there is always.
right, you're
We
absolutely
minimize it and we
right. I
go
mean,
on.
you take a risk, right? I mean, you take a risk when you walk out on a stage. You take a risk when you go to an audition. You take a risk, crossing the
Hit by a
street.
cab.
So take a risk, right? Exactly. I almost got hit by a cab yesterday.
Oh,
So I think your chances are, especially now, the cab drivers are extra crazy. So, take a risk and get out there and perform and be bold and sing and live your life. That's my advice.
very strong advice for us all, and very inspirational. How can people find out more about you personally and about your Opera for Earth Foundation?
Please visit our website at opera4earthcorporation.org. You can donate, you can email me. Information is on that website. You can check out Jodi Karam, JodiKarem.com. And let me hear from you. I love hearing from people. I love having conversations, and I think it's really exciting what we're doing. And if you want us to come to you and do a concert, I am so willing to write a grant and get people down wherever you are. I'm pretty good at the grant writing thing, so
When there's a will, there's a way.
let's do it. Absolutely.
Jodi, thank you so much for joining me on Music Matters 2020. It's a pleasure to catch up with you, and continued success in all you do.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for your well wishes. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you for joining us on Music Matters 2020. Remember, hit that subscribe button and smash that bell for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Our next podcast is this Sunday at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Our Sundays are going to change to 8 p.m. And we have legendary percussionist James Musto III, who is the principal percussion of the New Jersey Symphony and one of the greatest percussionists in this region. So make sure you join us for that. And thank you so much. Remember to check out our website for our past 49 episodes, which is www.jasontram.net. And remember, keep music alive. Good night.